Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will show you all new functions of STOLL-artwork because meanwhile there is a new update which contains more functions for knitting patterns. And for all of you who do not know what STOLL-artwork is, it is a Photoshop extension especially for knitting designers. If you do not see the new functions on your extension panel, you might not have registered at Adobe Creative Cloud, as any new updates will usually install in the automation. As you can see, there is now a new additional panel, namely STOLL Pencils. You can open it separately. As you already know, you can create a new artwork here. Say I want to make a 3-colored bird's eye jacquard for a 40 gauge machine. Let me take an already existing graphic from the preset menu, which I'm planning to use as a base. Therefore, I go to the filling bucket tool and choose pattern. If I click on this little wheel, different pattern groups will open. I choose artist's brushes canvas and take the second pattern, which looks like a linen weave. Now I can fill my background with it. When I zoom in, I can see that the pattern contains a lot of colors. But for knitting, it is important to not use too many colors because we want to knit a 3-colored jacquard. With the Reduce Colors button, I can decrease the colors of my graphic. Here I can see how many colors are included. Now I can choose how much colors I want to have in my artwork. I want to knit a 3-color jacquard, so I need 3 colors. Later I would like to show you the float jacquard. For this I will need a 2-color pattern too, so I'll do it in one process. To get the new graphic, an intermediate step is necessary. First, it has to be saved as a GIF file and then opened again. All STOLL-artwork options that require RGB are not accessible if the image is in indexed colors. This is the case, for example, after color reduction. Therefore, there is the RGB button here. For the stitch density, I choose one of the presets. For example, this one with the twill back. To see now how the artwork will look like on the fabric later, I click on the Stitch Distortion Preview. As you already know, the pixels are either stretched or compressed by the stitch density. I use this function daily for each of my patterns because it saves me a lot of time. After the preview, my artwork has lost its square. To restore the correct proportions, there is now a new tool called Adapt Proportion in Stitch Density. With this button, the image scales back into the correct proportions and is still in the correct preview. Now I notice that there are some single pixels which I don't like in this case. To eliminate these pixels, I can click here on Fix Color Patches. This is used for image cleaning of pixel clusters. That's my favorite feature. With one click, I have a cleaned up image without these small isolated pixels. Here in the dialog box, I'm asked to define the size of the pixel clusters to be cleaned. But please note that only areas which are completely surrounded by a single color are automatically changed to the surrounding color. That's the reason why this pixel was not removed. Let's move on to the next function. In the Create Color overview, I can check how many colors I have in each row in my graphic. This is very helpful for jacquard and intarsia designs. The color overview is displayed on a separate layer and can be also treated like this. Another helpful tool is Import Shape. With this function, I can automatically import vectors from Illustrator into a new layer in Photoshop. It sounds more complicated than it is. Before you can import a vector shape into Photoshop, you need to open the vector file in Illustrator in real size and adjust the canvas size to the vector dimensions. To do this, import the DXF format into Illustrator and click on Object, Artboards, Fit to Artboard Bounds. Now I can save the Illustrator file and import it into Photoshop. As you can see, I only have to make a few settings before I start. First, I turn the shape around so it can fit to my artwork, as this should be matching with the stitch density settings. With this button I can choose different colors for the outside shape. Here I can also enter my stitch density. In the preview you can see how the pattern would be knitted, started from the bottom to the top. By clicking on OK, I import my shape from Illustrator into Photoshop. I also have the possibility to place it freely to the right position and then crop it. Based on the two color pattern, I would like to show another procedure. I open the artwork and can now also carry out the float jacquard check based on the 14 gauge. As you already know, the maximum length of each color field should be 1 inch. The areas that are longer than 1 inch will be marked during the check. To improve the marked areas, I can go to the new panel STOLL pencils and select the basic pencil. Now I paint with the light color in between to make the floats shorter. Now I want to import a shape again. This time I place a check in the box on crop to shape. The crop to shape function is similar to masking. For larger artworks, the artwork lies in full size behind the cut layer. The positioning option is retained. For smaller artworks, the artwork lies in the cut layer and does not fill it completely. To demonstrate the I-cut plating function to you, I open again the two color pattern. Now I change this to an I-cut compatible pattern. This can be done by extending every single pixel by a certain factor. The pixels for the I-cut pattern must be twice as wide as the selected gauge, so in my case 28 pixels. Therefore I go to Image, Image Size and enter 2800 for the width. Here I choose nearest neighbor for hard edges. The graphic changes accordingly. I can now check the pattern with the I-cut plating check. But you can see that nothing has been marked because all areas are longer than 28 pixels. Now I can import my shape from Illustrator again. When importing shapes from Illustrator, the contours of the shape will contain artifacts which are due to the rasterization of the vector shape. With the magic eraser tool you can simply get rid of them. I don't like the pattern yet, so I modify it by inserting more stripes in light color on top of the dark ones. For that I go to the STOLL pencils. The STOLL I-cut pencil makes it possible to adjust the size of the pencil in relation to the gauge. The displayed pencil automatically has the required minimum width of 2 inches, which you need to respect when designing with STOLL I-cut plating technique. So now I can pick up the light color and draw it into my artwork. In the process of drawing artworks for I-cut plating, it might happen that some areas do not match with the rules of I-cut plating. Thus, please run an I-cut plating check from time to time in the drawing process. When I finish my artwork, I can save it as a bitmap file. Stoll recommends to first set the artwork in indexed mode and then save it as a BMP file in an 8-bit format. This process now is done automatically by one click on export to M1+. I hope I was able to help you with this tutorial and bring you closer to the Photoshop extension STOLL-artwork. Since I have STOLL-artwork, I have saved a lot of time, money and nerves. Therefore, I hope that you will be as happy with it as I am. I am very curious what's coming next in terms of new features in this extension. If you have any questions or remarks, please feel free to write me in the comments.